The beauty of Rollins College is well established. After all, everyone from the Princeton Review to Condé Nast Traveler regularly ranks Rollins as one of America's most beautiful college campuses. There's plenty to admire, from the shimmering waters of Lake Virginia to the distinctive Spanish Mediterranean architecture. Zoom in, though, and you'll discover that our campus is beautiful for dozens of reasons beyond its stunning lakeside location and sunny weather. Take, for example, our conference-style learning environment, where small groups of students and faculty engage in rigorous academic exploration. Consider the dozens of high-end laboratories and collaborative workshops, where our industrious students and inspirational professors partner on real-world research. The kind of meticulous inquiry that's typically reserved for graduate school. Drop in on the professional performance venues where our student artists hone their crafts. Stroll by the courts and playing fields where our student athletes develop lifelong leadership skills. And admire the creative co-working spaces where our student entrepreneurs collaborate on solutions to some of this century's toughest challenges. Take a closer look at Rollins, and you'll realize our beauty runs deep.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Rollins College. My name is Sam Stark. I'm Vice President of Communications and External Relations here, and a proud alum of this great institution. Really so honored and I'm pleased to have you all here this morning on our campus for our first ever State of the College for Community Leaders. Hopefully you heard maybe a little bit of the background music when you came in, and that was from our very own 91.5 FM WPRK, and they are actually broadcasting this program live right now on the radio. So if that's not a preset in your car, make that happen when you get back to your vehicle. I do want to just take a minute to recognize a few of our elected officials here. We have our Mayor of Winter Park, Steve Leary. Winter Park City Commissioner, Sarah Sprinkle. I know from State Representative Renee Placencia's office, Juan Carreras. Juan, are you with us? Thank you for being here. And Lauren Cooper from State Representative Ana Escamani's office. Thank you for being here. If you are an elected official and snuck in without me seeing, would you please stand up and introduce yourself? All right, good. Well, really, I am so happy to see so many friends here back on Rollins campus with us today, and I'm really, frankly, energized to see a lot of new faces, and just an honor and a privilege to have you representing our Central Florida region and here to learn a little bit about Rollins College. No matter where you stand with Rollins today, one of our goals is that you will walk out knowing that you have someone to contact to explore new and enhance current partnerships with your organization. You should feel free to contact me or any one of my colleagues who are here today. And I would just ask, too, that my Rollins colleagues on the staff, would you all just please raise your hand so our crowd can know what a great team we have here. Thank you all. Oftentimes, I think our tagline here at Rollins could be the same as our friends at the Orlando Economic Partnership. You don't know the half of it. Well, that should change today. And so our other goal is that you walk out of here and say, wow, I did not know that about Rollins College. So many thanks for joining us. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Elijah Noel, a graduate of the Geneva Academy and an outstanding student athlete who will share some remarks and introduce President Grant Cornwell. Elijah.
Good morning. Welcome. My name is Elijah Noel, and I'm a senior here at Rollins College, majoring in international business. And I suppose if I could do it all over again, I would have taken a course in public speaking. What has made Rollins such a special and unique place for me can really be summed up in about 3 words: community, relationships, and love. I fully enrolled at Rollins in 2015, and since my freshman year, obviously a lot has changed. However, the most constant variable within my time here has been has been the sense of community and belonging that goes along with being a Rollins student. I believe what has made Rollins the best choice of my life is being part of a system that will never let you fail, as opposed to being labeled as just another student at another university. The professors, faculty, and staff all play a crucial role in not only educating us as students, but also ensuring our success throughout college life. As a student athlete, I've faced numerous struggles on and off the court, including, but not limited to, a torn ACL and broken spirits. Collectively, these setbacks have served to make me not only a better person, but a person in general. By that I mean, coming into Rollins, I have very little personality outside of basketball. I was more concerned with my development as an athlete and being a star amongst my peers, rather than graduation itself. Through these setbacks, I experienced a significant amount of time unable to play basketball, but fortunately enough, this time outside of sports allowed me to find myself as a student, a man, and a grateful member of the community within and around Rollins. I found passions that I never knew I had, pursued goals that I didn't know existed, and dreamed bigger than maybe any 23-year-old should. These are just a few of the benefits that come with what I like to call the Rollins College Student Body 401k. All in all, care and consideration from others, from professor to student and student to student, enables a culture of love and compassion, which I find to be a nurturing environment for success. Whether it's love for one another, love for the college as a whole, or love for oneself, I credit this adornment for the continued excellence that is Rollins College. With that being said, you all didn't come here to listen to me talk, and without further ado, I would like to introduce to you the 15th president of Rollins College. Now, aside from being a leader and an example to be followed, President Cornwell is a friend of mine and a pretty good basketball player in his own right. Having spent his time prior to Rollins as the president of the College of Worcester, President Cornwell is well-versed in the arts of philosophy and biology. Please help me welcome President Grant Cornwell.
Well, good morning. And Elijah, I do appreciate that very generous comment about my basketball. Up until then, you were telling the truth. So good morning, and thank you for coming. This is an exciting time at Rollins. And just as Rollins College is so important to Winter Park and to Central Florida, you are all very important to us. And so this morning, we're offering a briefing on what's going on at the college. Now, this is my 5th year at Rollins College. And I have to say that coming here is absolutely the best thing that my wife Peg and I have ever chosen to do. And our route here began with a career as a professor at St. Lawrence University in upstate New York. Professor of philosophy and dean and provost for 20 years at St. Lawrence, which is, I believe, the farthest north liberal arts college in the country. How far north? The closest city is Ottawa. But we had 20 great years there. It's a fine college. Could happily have stayed there, but I was called to be the president of the College of Worcester outside of Cleveland, Ohio, where I served for 8 years. Before Rollins came up on the radar. And I'm going to just reflect a little bit about what inspired Peg and me, what inspired us to come to Rollins. And what I would say is what we perceive to be and what is the case, which is Rollins' incredibly well-situated potential and opportunity to thrive as a private liberal arts college today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So the first thing I'll say about what is so compelling about Rollins is what I would say is that it's strategically situated to thrive. And let me say a little bit about that. For higher education today to be relevant, to be salient, to be excellent, there are some components you need. First of all, you have to have a diverse campus community. It's so important for learning today that students learn with and from peers and faculty who come from different backgrounds, who see the world differently, who bring different life experience to the mission. That's the only way learning really happens, is by encountering people who think differently than you do. So first of all, diversity is critical. The second thing is, I am thoroughly convinced that we are in a century of rapid and thorough globalization. And so a higher education today has to be globally engaged. It has to give students access to faculty and to learning opportunities that help them understand their own local situation is deeply connected in all ways to what's happening around the nation and around the world. So the two elements of excellence for higher education today, I would say, are diversity and global engagement. Well, if you look at Rollins peer institutions, Rollins doesn't have many peers in Florida. Private liberal arts colleges of Rollins caliber are mostly congregated in the Northeast and the Midwest. And that was certainly true throughout my career. But you know what else? These colleges are primarily located in small, what are called college towns, where the college is the town. And that's sort of a charming notion, and certainly in the 1800s, when most of these places were founded, they were put there on purpose, intentionally. But for today's young people, it's not so charming, and it's not so relevant. And because everything that I've already said, for an education for the 21st century, to be prepared as a global citizen, you need to be connected to the world that you're studying. You need to be connected to the problems and the opportunities of that world that you're going to engage upon graduation. So I have never seen a college as well situated as Rollins. Here we are, a private liberal arts college in Winter Park. There is no college president in the country that wouldn't swap places with me in terms of situating their college in a local community. This is an unbelievably perfect place for a college to be situated. But even more so, I would say, and hence the photo here, is, as you well know, we're not a rural college. We're not even a suburban college. Really, Rollins College is situated right in the middle of Orlando. Now, all of you live and work here, and so perhaps you've been here long enough that you take its dynamism and its growth and its opportunity maybe a bit for granted, or maybe it's just the natural state of affairs for you. I'm going to tell you, this is an exceptional situation. To be here now, as Orlando is coming into its own as a growing global city, with all of the opportunities that it affords, with all of the problems that it presents, is an incredibly rich place to be a college student or a college faculty member. Because what you will see as I talk about our program at Rollins, our academic program and our co-curricular program are all designed to connect learning with doing, to equip students to put their education to work in the world, and we're able to do that right here, right outside our campus. So that's the first reason that I think Rollins is strategically situated to thrive. The second is that Rollins College really has three legs to its stool. It's a very strong foundation because, yes, we're a private liberal arts college, but Rollins College is also the Cromer Graduate School of Business, which is the top-ranked graduate school of business in Florida, a nationally ranked cutting-edge institution, and you all know, certainly in Central Florida, to have a Cromer degree is to have a degree of substance in the business world. So the fact that we have an undergraduate college that is integrated with and deeply connected with such a fine graduate school of business is two strong legs. But we also have the Hamilton Holt School. The Hamilton Holt School, which provides a Rollins education with all of its quality and intimacy and rigor and personal attention to working adults who want to really complete their degree. So that creates a very sturdy base for a college today. And it's another reason that I found Rollins so attractive. So how are we doing? Well, we are doing very well. Last year, this is a picture of our, where are you? Come on back, come on back. This is our entering class from last year. If you look here, and you can't see too closely, but if you look here, you see that it's a class that's rich with diversity, wonderful young people from all parts of the world and all parts of the socioeconomic spectrum. But you'll also see that there's 530 students here. We are intimate on purpose. This is our entering class, and for these 530 students last year, we had 6,200 applications. So our presence in the market is getting stronger because we're doing a pretty damn good job helping the world understand what an ideal place this is to go to college. And I want to say something about this scale. We are hard on executing a strategic plan, and it's very exciting, and I'm going to introduce you to that plan today. But the goal of our strategy is not to get bigger. Success for Rollins does not mean growth. Our objective is to get better, not bigger. We're actually at an ideal size for our mission. You can't really scale the kind of education we provide, which is based upon relationships. As Elijah said, it's all about community and relationships. The learning that takes place here happens in the context of human relationships between professors and students, between students and each other, between our staff and the students. And it's that kind of learning that is not possible at scale. You won't find zero large lectures at Rollins. You won't find any. That's zero online learning at Rollins. That is, of course, we use technology, we use online resources, but there are no courses that are simply computer experiences. That's because we're committed to a style of education that requires the kind of intimacy and intensity of personal engagement. And there's another dimension to that too. There is daily accountability for academic rigor. When you come to a Rollins class every day, when you come to a Rollins seminar every day for every class, you have to show up prepared to engage the material, to engage your peers, to engage your professors. So there's no drifting through Rollins and then cramming for exams and otherwise really not being affected in a daily way by your academic engagement. This is a place where students have to show up every day, and scale has a lot to do with that. So that's why our goal is we're working hard on getting better, not bigger. Also, we've made, I think, tremendous strides, and we'll continue to make tremendous strides with the diversity of our student body. Right now, we're over 20% Hispanic, and there is a possibility that we will set our sights on becoming an officially Hispanic-serving institution, which would be about a quarter of our students being of Hispanic identity. We're over 10% international, and another interesting thing about that international number is we also have a wide range of students that we call global nomads, and these are U.S. citizens who have been raised abroad. And for many of them, coming to Rollins College is their first experience of America because they've been raised abroad in diplomatic households or the like, and they find Rollins an attractive place to be. So we're very internationally influenced. And in this class here, really about a third bring additional diversity to our mission. Remember what I said, so critical to excellence and relevance in a 21st century education. At our peer institutions in the Northeast and the Midwest, you have to import all that diversity because basically they're situated in rural white America. And you have to export all the global engagement because you have to go out, you have to go leave campus to be globally connected and engaged. We can do that all right here every day. Some accolades, you'll forgive me, you'll permit me a little boasting here. What others have said about us. The U.S. News and World Report has ranked us the #1 university in the South. Niche, which is another ranking system, has ranked us the best liberal arts college in Florida. U.S. News and World Report also says that we are the top college in Florida for the quality of our undergraduate teaching. And, of course, Forbes has ranked us again as having the #1 MBA in Florida. So let me give you a little glimpse of some of the character of the campus and the culture here. And I begin with our student athletes. So we have 23 varsity teams. And actually around a quarter of our students are varsity athletes. And here is what I'm so proud of and what maybe you'll find surprising or maybe not. They're all students like Elijah. They're all students that are incredibly present, engaged with the mission, articulate, and finding themselves here. Rollins, over 400 student athletes last year had a combined GPA of 3.4. And for the 9th straight year, Rollins won the NCAA's President's Award for Academic Excellence. We have the best academic success rate in the Sunshine State Conference by quite a bit, and the 4th best in the nation. So our student athletes are students first, but they are engaged with the college as students and athletes, and they're having a fantastic educational experience because of that. Also, I don't know if you pay attention to theater business, but Rollins has the #1 ranked undergraduate program in theater in Florida, and it's ranked 24th in the nation. The Annie Russell is the oldest continuously operating theater in Florida, and if you read the Orlando Sentinel, when they made the most memorable achievements for 2019 in Central Florida theater, Rollins was awarded the Best Featured Actress, the Best Featured Actor, and the Best Director here in our undergraduate theater program. The best theater in Central Florida. I'm very proud of that. And if you don't go to the Annie Russell, you should. It's really good theater. The other dimension of our educational program that brings so much character to the campus and that our alumni, and I know you value so much, is the quality of our music program. John Sinclair runs a music program that is just one of the finest in the country. Our students perform, and some subsequently are hired by Disney. We perform down at the Dr. Phillips Center, especially on an occasion that we collaborate with Full Sail to produce, called Songs of the Season, around the holidays. And of course, we harbor the fantastic Bach Festival. And what's beautiful about the Bach Festival, from my point of view, is not only the fantastic musical programming that it offers every season, but that if you look at the orchestra or look at the choir, you'll see that about 25% of them are Rollins students, having the opportunity to perform that quality of music with that quality of conducting and that quality of peers. It's a great learning experience. I've already talked about the fact that we are an internationally engaged, globally engaged campus. 70% of our students study abroad during their time here. That's right up at the top of the nation in terms of the number of students that we have go out of the country to enrich and contextualize their learning. And for the 6th consecutive year, Rollins College is being recognized as one of the top producers of Fulbright scholars. And as I said, over 10% of our students are international. In addition, something that is deeply in the character of Rollins College is our community engagement. In some sense, what I can say with confidence is that every single student, while they're here, is engaged with the community, serving the local community and learning to help others as part of their education. I can say every student because when they arrive on campus for orientation, we have something called Spark Day, where we actually take the entire freshman class out into the community for a day of service. So I know 100% of them are doing some service while they're here at the college. But beyond that, our whole program of education is designed to enable students to put their Rollins education to work in the world. They're not simply sitting in classrooms having rigorous academic learning. We have courses over 30 a semester, where as part of the coursework, students are engaged with local agencies, local schools, local NGOs, putting their education to work in the world, solving problems, learning that a liberal education actually is an incredibly practical education. It's meant to develop qualities of mind and qualities of character that enable our students to make the world a better place, not just for themselves, but for others. Also, I will share that one of our fastest growing majors is in social entrepreneurship. Now, this may be a major that was not available when you went to college, but social entrepreneurship is very popular with this generation of students because they're simultaneously idealistic and pragmatic. They want to learn, in this major, they learn how to run an enterprise and how to be entrepreneurial. But social enterprises are those that produce not only viable enterprises, viable businesses, but they're producing social value. They're actually coming up with an idea or an innovation that addresses a social problem, a global problem, and they have a solution that they're trying to put to work in the world. The fastest growing major at Rollins. Let me introduce a new program that is really a bringing together of what we've been doing for a long time. It's called Rollins Gateway. One of the, you've heard me already talk about this, but one of the distinguishing characteristics of a Rollins education is that we really provide a tremendous number of opportunities for students to learn through experience outside the classroom. And so what we've done is we've brought together all of our programs in experiential learning, civic engagement, global learning, internships, social entrepreneurship. We brought them together in the center of campus into the new Kathleen W. Rollins Hall. And let me just say for a second here, a little digression. We have campus tours available after I'm finished, and you will be able to see in person Kathleen W. Rollins Hall, which just opened a couple weeks ago, and the rest of the things happening on campus. So I encourage you to do that. It's a lovely morning for a walk. Well, Rollins Hall is the epicenter of Rollins Gateway. And what we've done is we've collected all of our experiential learning programs around our Center for Career and Life Planning. Because what we know very clearly is, as fine of education as a Rollins education is, we have to make sure students, each and every one of our students, is intentionally planning their way through here so that it's pointing to something beyond Rollins. So that they're organizing all of their experiences and all of their curriculum and all of their learning, all of their internships, all of the things that compile and comprise a Rollins education so that it adds up to something that they're ready to put to work in the world upon graduation. So Rollins Gateway is this idea that each and every student will have a mentored, advising-rich pathway through Rollins, each unique to that student, but each pathway adding up to a complete Rollins education that when they graduate, they are able to articulate the value of the learning at Rollins and what they're ready to bring into the world. So we're very, very excited about that. So you see a lot of cranes on campus. And you know, the most important thing I want to make, most important point I want to make about that is that this is not a building campaign. What you're seeing on Rollins campus right now is the execution of a strategic plan. Every single thing that we're doing that involves cranes and bulldozers is actually creating space for our project to create a Rollins education for the 21st century. So let me just tick through some of the exciting projects because they are exciting. Now, I just said that we opened the Kathleen W. Rollins Hall, the epicenter of Rollins Gateway. This was a really fun project because that building has been called Mills Memorial Library. It was the library before the college built Olin Library. It's a beautiful, iconic building for the campus. We wanted to preserve its architecture and architectural integrity, but inside, it wasn't of much use. Because if you think about a library built in the 1930s, what is it built for? It's built to house books. So the back half of it had 6 stories of concrete walls and no windows, which isn't a really useful building for educational purposes in the 21st century. So we peeled off the back of that, renovated the whole space, and now it's a spectacular learning environment for integrated, exciting liberal education in the 21st century. You should go see it. The second project I'll mention, you're sitting in right now. This was built as the dining hall, and then it morphed into the bookstore, and now it is our event center. It's a place for events like this, but here's a little plug. It's also a place for conferences or meetings or weddings. So if you know somebody who would like a lovely place to be married, we do now have a whole service that enables people to get married in Noel's Chapel and have their reception here in the Rice Family Pavilion, and it's lovely. And that's my pitch for this space. So the big trains on campus right now are for the Lakeside residential project. And let me talk a little bit about this, because this is of interest to everyone and very important to the college. You've heard me talk about the character of a Rollins education having to do with relationships. Well, we are a residential campus on purpose. It's not the case that we simply have dorms where students can sleep so they can go to class the next day. At a residential liberal arts college campus, we believe, and I believe deeply, following John Dewey, that the process of living together educates. So our campus is a living, learning community where the learning that takes place inside the classroom and outside the classroom. A total Rollins education includes going to lectures and concerts and theater and going to study groups at night to work collaboratively with your peers. It includes actually negotiating your residential experience with a roommate and hallmates who come from different backgrounds and believe things that different than you do. And that very learning how to negotiate those differences in community is part of a Rollins education. So as a residential liberal arts college campus, the living and learning is very central to our mission. But we only can house 60% of our students on campus. 40% of our students live off campus because we don't have the capacity to house them. So that was something that we wanted to get after, and the question was how. And we had a wonderful opportunity, because this is a site map of the new Lakeside complex. Lake Virginia is down at the bottom, and actually the whole space that you're looking at was occupied by our oldest dormitory, which was at end of life, and for which I got the most complaints from parents. And what else was there on the lakefront? If you have a lakefront and a campus, what are you going to put on your lakefront? Well, we had facilities, grounds, and garbage collection. And we thought maybe there's a better land use. Maybe we can do something different here that would make a lot more sense. So what we did was we moved facilities and grounds out onto Fairbanks. And you see this building as you drive by the tracks on Fairbanks. Sometimes we call it the Garage Mahal. Because I will claim that we have the most attractive facilities and trades building in the nation, of any college campus in the nation. But we moved facilities and trades out there. And actually, Jen, can you go back one? And so this is going to be a residential community for 500 students. And this is a very, very carefully site-designed building so that it protects the tree canopy on the lakeshore, where anywhere you approach the building, you are approaching a 3-story building. The roof line will not be above the tree line along the lake. The roof line, as you approach from campus, will not be the tallest roof line. It's actually lower than Pinehurst Cottage, which is the oldest building on campus. So it's really a very substantial structure that's tucked into the landscape in a way that keeps it aesthetically appropriate to our beautiful campus. But in this, there will live 500 students. And what we did in the design was we really took as our primary design objective is to create a living space that would promote wellness, thriving, and well-being. I'm sure that you read the media and you know that mental health issues are an issue on every campus across the country. We're trying to take a very forward-leaning, proactive approach by creating spaces and programs that really, if you will, teach students how to thrive, how to flourish, what happiness actually is constitutive of. And this whole design of this building complex is meant to support health and well-being. So in addition to the 500 units, which I'll talk about in a second, you see, for happiness and well-being for college students now, you have to provide a balance between their need for privacy and their need for community. We don't want to let them disappear into isolation, but we also know that privacy matters both for the work that they have to do, for quality of sleep, and just for their own well-being. So the design of the units here are meant to provide that balance. But in addition, this complex will have sort of an extended wellness center, which will include a yoga studio and a fitness center and a fresh market and places for community to gather, and both indoors and out for community and recreation. So you see it's sort of a big U. The green space in the middle is actually quite massive. It's longer than a football field. There'll be a community pool there and a lot of green space for enjoying the happiness that nature brings right there on the shores of Lake Virginia. But if you go ahead, Jen, this is an image of what the outdoor space will look like. Yes, and our faculty are saying, excuse me, can we live here? But if you go to the next slide, this is, at the upper left is a picture of these 500 students will all have singles with full beds and private baths. But they'll be in apartment complexes so there'll be 4 singles in an apartment style suite, which will have a full kitchen and laundry and a common area for them to cook and socialize together. If you go clockwise to the right, that's what the sort of the fresh market will look like. You know, we're quite inspired by foxtails. We think our students really like that vibe and that feeling. And we're going to have a test kitchen here where we actually will offer cooking seminars on students on how to prepare healthful food, and then they'll be able to buy some of that market food right here and take it up to their apartments and cook. Continuing down, you see the fitness center, and I guess all the way over here, that's the picture of the bathroom. I'm not sure why we needed to show you that, but it's a really nice bathroom. So here, the next photo is this is what it looks like sort of today, but it's happening so quickly that every day it changes. It's going to be a spectacular facility, really unparalleled in college residential life when it opens next August. And I say that with great conviction because it has to be done. The students are coming, and they need to be sleeping there. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is a concept, which we talk about as innovation triangle. The first piece of the innovation triangle is the Alfond Inn. Now, I know most of you have probably enjoyed the amenities of the Alfond Inn, but I want to make sure that every one of you understands the business plan of the Alfond Inn. Here we have a boutique art hotel, which Condé Nast sometimes says is the #1 hotel in Florida, sometimes says it's the #7 hotel in the nation, which is a nonprofit hotel. It's a 501c3, where 100% of the margin directly funds scholarships for Rollins students who wouldn't be able to afford to come here otherwise. So every dollar, and I encourage you, every dollar you spend in the Alfond you're actually supporting student scholarships and their access to a Rollins education. So have that extra glass of wine, feel free to invite your family to stay there. But since I arrived here, really the only criticism I hear of the Alfond Inn is you can't get in. You can't get a room, you can't get your event there, you can't get your wedding there. And so we realized there was a sort of unmet market demand there. And that's neither here nor there, but as a college president, I realized that's additional revenue that could be supporting additional students at Rollins. So this spring, we will be breaking ground on an addition to the Alfond Inn. We're adding 73 more beds. We're adding more meeting rooms and a kind of a space that's going to be a coffee cafe in the morning, and then at night it's going to be a wine bar. And we're also adding a 10,000 square foot spa because the people who manage the Alphon for us say that at the level that we compete, our patrons really expect and want spa services, and we're happy to oblige. So that's the first. This project is called Innovation Triangle. You should think, well, that means there's 3 parts to it, and you're right. There are 3 parts to it. So the first part is the expansion of the Alphon Inn. The second 2 parts emerged as I came to know the college campus and listened to the good work and forward thinking that were being done by different stakeholder groups around the campus, one of which was the Cromer Graduate School of Business. Cromer's business school pedagogy is absolutely forward-leaning, 21st century, very creative educational programming. But Cromer's located in one of our charming Mediterranean buildings that just doesn't have the space that lends itself towards contemporary business pedagogy. So the faculty and the alumni of the Cromer Graduate School of Business and the dean, now we've been at this for a while, have been trying to imagine how and where could we build a new building for the Cromer Graduate School of Business that was really worthy of its mission and worthy of its standing. So that needed to be done. The second thing in moving around that I heard about was I visited with the board of advisors for the Cornell Fine Arts Museum. If you haven't recently been to the Cornell Fine Arts Museum, you owe yourself a trip. Our exhibit right there, down there right now, is, we have incredible exhibits at the Cornell Fine Arts Museum. Right now, it's a collection, it's a study really of the arts of African textiles. And what's beautiful about it is it's curated by an art history professor at Rollins together with 2 Rollins students. And the Orlando Sentinel has already written it up. It's a fantastic exhibit. You should go down there and check it out. But what the Board of Advisors told me is they said, Grant, our collection is now over 5,000 pieces of art, and we can show about 100 of them at any given time. We really need a larger museum space, and we owe it to the public to share this resource with Central Florida, to share this resource with Winter Park. So the task there is, okay, where would a new museum of art be comfortably situated? Well, if you can envision the Alphon Inn, right across the street is a city block that we call the Lawrence Center, and the college owns that city block. It has some commercial real estate on it, but mostly it's sort of a surface parking lot. So the Innovation Triangle idea is to build both a new Graduate School of Business and a new art museum on the Lawrence Center, right across from the Alphon Inn. We call it the Innovation Triangle because we've been asking this fascinating set of questions of what could the possibilities be between a boutique art hotel, a top-ranked Graduate School of Business, and a museum of art. What are the intersections? What are the synergies? How might one program inform the other? And it's been fascinating. We had a business school professor from the Sloan School of Business from MIT come down to work with us for a couple think tank charrettes. And he is himself an artist. And part of his area in business is thinking about what does art bring to business problem solving, and what is thinking about art from a business point of view? What do they bring to each other? So we're imagining a program of what these 3 bring to Winter Park and to Rollins College, and it's terribly exciting. And that is what we call the Innovation Triangle, and we know that we're moving forward on the Alphon Inn expansion. That's all ready to go. Shovels go in the ground this spring, and we're still working on our plans for the business school and the art museum. So with that's sort of what's happening at Rollins today. It's terribly exciting. It's a great place to be a college president right now, I'll tell you that, but it's an even better place to be a college student right now, or a student of business right now. What I think that I would do is let me open the floor to see if there's anything I've talked about that you'd like me to elaborate on, or whether there's any question you have that I haven't addressed. And then after that, campus tours will be available. And let me just thank you for coming. Thank you very much. So does anybody want to pose a question or ask or make a comment? Or I'm open to advice. I get it all the time. Yes, please, Patricia.
Do you have to be a junior or senior student in order to live in this beautiful new dormitory with suites and kitchens and so forth? Or
yes,
how does that work?
That's really the intention. What we're trying to do is we're trying to pull the upper class students who now live out in rented homes out in the neighborhood. We're trying to pull them back on campus. So that will primarily be juniors and seniors. Yeah. You know, when I tell you that 40% of our students live off campus, the typical model is that students will get together and collectively rent a home in a neighborhood. And as much as I love our students, and they're wonderful young people, they're not always the best neighbors. And so part of this plan too is to sort of pull them back onto campus where there could be a little bit more accountability, and we're looking forward to that. But it'll primarily be juniors and seniors, yes. I saw another hand, I think.
With all the expansion that you're doing, has this substantially increased the debt, or is this paid for through endowments or some other way to where it doesn't create a heavy debt load for the college?
Yes. So how are we financing all of this? With a combination of gifts and debt. For example, the Kathleen W. Rollins Hall is now called that rather than Mills Memorial, because Kathleen W. Rollins is a trustee at Rollins. Imagine that. And she and her husband gave a gift of $10 million to help us get that done. I've talked about the Innovation Triangle. 2 years ago, we have a commitment of $40 million to undertake that project. We do, in addition, have some debt to get all this done, but in a way that's going to work out in a way that I think is very clever. When we pull these students back onto campus for the Lakeside, the additional room revenue that we'll realize will not only pay for the debt service for that facility, but also for other things we'll also pay for the debt service for the garage we built, and for the theater that we're trying to get done, and a lot of other things. So it's a very sound business plan. Other questions? Let's take a walk on campus. Thank you for being here. Have a campus tour. Thank you.